Well, hello there and welcome back. There are several differences between charcoal and graphite, but there are also several differences between different kinds of charcoal, and when and how to use them will affect significantly the look of your drawings. In this video, you will see me using different kinds of charcoal. I won't be using graphite this time, and you will see how, depending on the pencil or the stick that I grab, I can create one effect or another. So stick around and let's find out. This is the list of materials that I'm going to use. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be using all of it, most of it, not. And I have included graphite pencils because I may finish in the drawing a little bit with graphite pencils, but I'm not sure. So here are all the graphite pencils in different softness, and the sharpener right here. Here is the cloth for blending. Not sure if I'm going to use it or not. The tortillon, the softest charcoal pencils. This is a nitron stick, and then different charcoal pencils here. Now here is another one that I have included because it has a pencil extender. This is a sharpener. These are the sharpeners I'm going to be using for the LEDs. This is powder right here, charcoal powder. These are different brushes that I will be using for blending around depending on the areas, the smaller areas. Cotton swab. This is a thick charcoal stick. These are soft pastels. They're very dark. I don't know if I'm going to use them or not, but I've used them in the past, so I'm including them here. And these are different pencils, different sticks of charcoal. Some are willow, some are soft. And these are, I didn't take them off the package so you could see it. This is compressed charcoal. This is for the very last touches. And I'm not exactly sure that I'll be using it or not just yet. This is another thing for blending things around, a sausage. And these are pencils, erasers, different widths for delicate, strong. This is kneaded eraser. This is another eraser that I cut. As it gets dirty, I cut it more so it becomes cleaner. This is a hole puncher to identify the values that I see. I also have refills for the pencil eraser. And the drawing paper that I'm going to be using this time is Master Starch that you can find in Hobby Lobby. This is the first time I use it, but it seems like a good paper. So it's excellent for all dry media, smooth surface, acid-free paper, and it's 95 pounds. So it's supposed to be good for this. This is going to be our photo reference, and I chose this particular photo because I really like the pattern of the dark and the light, and it makes it more interesting that way. We're gonna have a chance to really discover the different planes of the face and the head, and also directional lighting. The first thing I do is making sure that my hands are very clean. So I wash them good with soap and water and dry them as to not leave any prints around the paper with the wax of the finger or the oils of the fingers. And then I'm going to get some of this general charcoal and I'm going to sprinkle it around. Now I know this drawing will be smaller than this big piece of paper, but I want to give myself enough room in the bottom to try some marks. I'm gonna spread this powder around. At this stage, it doesn't really matter. You just want to, this is like tinting the canvas when you're washing the canvas. with a nice tone, you do the same thing. And obviously, I always put a lot of paint, too much charcoal, because look at how much is left over, but I can just reuse this. All right, so I spread it around. It's got a nice tone, mid value. That's what I'm shooting for, about a mid value here. This is very volatile, and a lot of it will be erased. The second thing that I do is I grab this really large piece of charcoal. It's a vine charcoal, and then I'm gonna try to map them. I'm very loose in here. I don't really care. I just want to get some marks in here, marking my territory. I don't want to get too large, so I start by finding the placement of the head from the top and around the contour, just to figure out what everything is gonna fit on the paper. And the reason why I start from the outside, not inside, is because shorter distances are easier to judge than longer distances. So from the contour to the edges of the paper is a shorter distance. That, let's say if I started around the eye, just drawing an eye, well, it's like one point in the middle of an ocean, right? And the chances are, children used to do that. You start drawing an eye, and next thing you know, the face is huge, and then you run out of room for the paper. So you have to mark your territory first. And it's like a fence around your house, around your property, right? You do that to know how much property you have to put a house in. So this is the same thing. And once the whole contour of the face is done, it doesn't have to be exact, of course, there's always refinements, but once you're done with that, then you can figure out how to proceed with the features inside the face. And this stage usually takes the longest. If it's a commission, I can't even begin to tell you, it's endless, because you have to be absolutely exact. But if it's not a commission, then you have a little bit more freedom, and things don't have to be exact, as in this case. I just want to use this photo reference as a guide to create a beautiful portrait in which I can show you the techniques that I use. It's important to notice that at this stage, I am not looking for details and just very carefully finding my way around and just applying the values as I see them, and trying to be as precise as possible as to where I put them. So I'm concentrating in the left side of the face, and I'm going to remain in the left side of the face for quite a while, because if I can define that area, see, I'm lifting the color right now, or the values, with a little bit of cotton to define the light and the dark, because that difference between the light and the dark will create the contour of the face. And if I can get that area right, then the rest of the drawing will be much easier to do. So I continue to lift the lights as I can. Right now I'm using a kneaded eraser and a cotton swab. Now I'm working with my vine again to define the nose a little bit, and just little by little I'm working on the bottom part of the face. I always do the eyes last, because the eyes are very complicated, and as it happens, we have two of them fortunately. The first one is always easy to do, the second not so much. I always say that the eyes tend to be in two different continents, and just to get them It's important to notice that at this stage, I am not looking for details and just very carefully finding my way around and just applying the values as I see them and trying to be as precise as possible as to where I put them. So I'm concentrating in the left side of the face, and I'm going to remain in the left side of the face for quite a while, because if I can define that area, see, I'm lifting the color right now or the values with a little bit of cotton to define the light and the dark, because that difference between the light and the dark will create the contour of the face. And if I can get that area right, then the rest of the drawing will be much easier to do. So I continue to leave the lights as I can. Right now I needed a razor and a cotton swab. Now I'm working with my vine again to define the nose a little bit, and just little by little I'm working on the bottom part of the face. I always do the eyes last because the eyes are very complicated, and as it happens we have two of them fortunately. The first one is always easy to do, the second not so much. I always say that the eyes tend to be in two different continents, and just to get them looking right is very difficult. I have a pretty interesting story for you. When I was in elementary school, I had a friend named Lucia, and she could draw the most beautiful mouths. And I was so jealous of her because my mouths, no matter how hard I tried, they wouldn't come out like hers. We were both huge fans of the writer Hans Christian Andersen. He used to write all the most beautiful fairy tales, and his mouths were so glorious. And I tried, but mine will never look like hers. But coincidentally, she used to tell me that my mouths were the best. I mean, my noses were the best. That she wished she could draw the noses like I did. And no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't. So she wanted me to teach her how to draw the noses the way I did. And I made a deal with her. If she taught me her secrets about drawing the mouth, then I will, teach her my secrets about drawing the nose. So we both made a deal, and we practiced, and I still didn't get like hers, but I got closer. And you got me here with a mouth full of groceries. Well, girls gotta eat. This is hard work. So, you know, there's no reason why I cannot be doing two things at the same time, right? Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but there is a line right there as I'm working on crossing the eye and down the left side. Well, those are lines on the paper. They are defects on the paper, and it's my worst nightmare because it happens all the time, and I try to avoid it by looking at the pages carefully. But this time, apparently, I didn't see it right, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's gonna stay there. So you just have to learn with it, because after you put in all this work, you find it out, then what are you gonna do, right? This is what happens when the paper is cheap. This is paper from Hobby Lobby. It wasn't really that cheap, and I thought it was good paper, but obviously not that great. So I'll be learning that for the next time. And here we go, the most dreaded moment, which is when I have to start drawing the second eye. I always hate this stage. But what are we gonna do? I can't just draw one eye and leave the other one, even though I really wish that I could, because I have to measure and measure and measure so many times to get it right.
All
end.
right. There is about 2 hours on this drawing that I did not record because my phone ran out of storage. But it doesn't matter because the last 2 hours are not really that important. So I'm going to show you what I did. I darkened the eyes substantially, and I used the electrical eraser to really brighten the highlights. As you can see, I changed the look that she had on her eyes. I didn't like the look that she had, but I took artistic license because after all, this is not a commission. So I can do whatever I want. And I think I like it a lot more that way. I also changed the mouth a little bit because it was a little too open, so I closed it. So basically I used the harder pencil to put a little bit more details on the eyelashes, and in the mouth a little bit more lines all around. I use the different erasers to lighten some areas of the background. I use a little bit of the pastel pencil for the details on the shirt and on the hair and around. And the tools I used for blending were the following. First of all, the brush for the softened areas
that they need to move very slowly. I use cotton swabs. I use my pinky finger. I use the tortillon for the tiny areas right here where I need a lot of precise detail. And I use cotton ball for the little, for the larger areas. And basically those are the tools that I use. And for erasers, I use Mono Zero for really tiny details. I use the big electrical eraser that has a lot of strength, that I use that for the highlights. I highlight in the nose, right here, and in the mouth. Needle erasers all throughout where I need to just soften, liften the values. And this big square chunky one that I just use it all around. And this is all that I did. And if you like this video, make sure to check these other videos that I have on drawing. And again, hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.